Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear students, welcome back. So in the previous lecture we have studied about the frictions, the limiting friction and the laws that are used in the limiting friction. So now let's perform an experiment to just verify the laws. The first law that we studied was that the limiting friction that depends on the nature of the surfaces that are in contact with each other. So this activity will help us to prove that law. So the material that we are required for this is a wooden block that is provided with a hook, then a spring balance, then a sandpaper and a talcum powder. Talcum powder means any powder that we use in our daily life. Okay, so the method here is place the wooden block on the smooth tabletop. Okay, now to the hook of the wooden block we have to attach a spring balance. Okay, now put the spring balance gently towards the right, like we have done in the previous activity as well. We will first see that won't slide, right? Then after applying more force to that, we will see that that will suddenly will try to slide. Okay, so go on increasing the pull, right? Because the first that will not slide, so we are going to increase our force, that is the pull, till it just starts sliding. Okay, now when the force is more, then it will just start sliding a bit. Now read and record the force shown by the spring balance. Okay, we have to just record the force that we applied and then that thing begin to slide. Now this force is equal and opposite to the limiting force, because the limiting force is the least or the maximum force after which a body will start sliding. Okay, so this force that is obviously equal and opposite to the limiting force, right? Between the surface of the wooden block and the tabletop, we know that. Okay, now place a sandpaper flat on the tabletop and over it place the wooden block. Now what we have to do, we have to just place a sandpaper first. Okay, then we have to place a wooden block. First there was nothing in between, there was just a table and then the wooden block. Now we are going to keep that sandpaper on the table and then we are going to place the wooden block. Now we are going to repeat the activity that we done and we have to record the force of that limiting force, that force जिससे फिर वो slide करेगा. I hope you are understanding it. सबसे पहले हमने क्या किया, एक वुडन ब्लॉक को रखा किस पे, एक टेबल पे. हमने फिर वो फोर्स देखी, किस फोर्स पे रिकॉर्ड हमने करा कि कब वो स्लाइड होना शुरू हुआ. अब दूसरा क्या किया, हमने फिर जो सैंड पेपर था हमने वो रखा उनके बीच में, उसके ऊपर वुडन ब्लॉक रखा और उसके बाद वही दोबारा से एक्सपेरिमेंट शुरू किया और फिर जो उसमें फोर्स लगी उसको रिकॉर्ड किया. नाउ फॉर द थर्ड वन हम क्या करेंगे, स्प्रिंकल सम टैल्कम पाउडर ऑन द टेबल एंड देन हम वुडन ब्लॉक अप्लाई करेंगे. तीन चीज़ें की, पहले कुछ भी नहीं, देन सैंड पेपर एंड देन द टैल्कम पाउडर. Now repeat and again record the force limiting that force. Now we will observe that the force of limiting friction will be least when we had applied the talcum powder. Okay, in case of smooth and maximum in case of sandpaper, because sandpaper will this restrict a bit, that will have friction, more friction than that of the talcum. So smooth है वो तो smoothly जाएगा, right? So this activity clearly shows us that it is dependent, this limiting force that is dependent upon the nature of surfaces that are in contact, whether that is a talcum powder, that is a sandpaper or any such other thing. Okay, so the next activity, the next law that we are going to prove is that the limiting friction increases with the increase of body. Okay, now for this we need a wooden block that similarly provided with a hook earlier, like, then a spring balance, then a brass of two weights. First is the 50 grams, then 100 grams. Now place the wooden block again like that. Now to the hook we are going to attach the spring balance. Now put the spring balance gently towards the right. Okay, go and increasing the pull till it starts sliding, just like the previous one. Now we have to record that force. This force will definitely be equal and opposite to the limiting force, क्योंकि जब वो limiting force के equal होगा तभी वो slide होना शुरू हो जाएगा between the surface. Now what we are going to do, we are going to place 50 gram weight on that wooden block and repeat this activity. Okay, now we are going to repeat the activity again with the 100 gram weight, right? And then in 150 gram weight as well. Okay, so you will notice as the weight of the block is increased, okay, the magnitude of limiting friction that will also increase, because जब वजन बहुत ज़्यादा है तो जो फोर्स हमें लगेगी टू स्लाइड दैट विल डेफिनेटली बी मोर, क्योंकि अगर आप ऐसे देखोगे जो चीज़ इतनी हल्की है उसको ईजिली स्लाइड करना हो जाता है, और जो चीज़ इतनी भारी हो जाए देन टू स्लाइड दैट और टू रोल दैट और एनी सच थिंग, अभी यहाँ पे स्लाइडिंग है, दैट द फोर्स विल बी मोर, सो दैट मीन्स द लिमिटिंग फ्रिक्शन also increases for that. The activity clearly proves that the limiting friction increases with the increase in the weight of a body. Okay, students? Now there was one more activity, that was the law to prove that the limiting friction is independent on the area of cross section. Okay, so for this we are going to take a wooden block with a hook having different length, width and height, as such as its surfaces are similar, a spring balance and a spring balance. Now place a wooden block just like that on the smooth such that its largest face is in contact with the top. हमें इसको ऐसे एडजस्ट करना है, मतलब उसकी लेंथ ब्रेथ और हाइट डिफरेंट है, पहले हमें ये करना है कि उसका बड़ी जो सबसे लंबी लेंथ है, लंबा फेस है, दैट शुड बी इन कंटैक्ट विद द टॉप. जो टॉप है मतलब ऐसे टॉप है तो हमें इसके उसको इन कंटैक्ट में करना है. टू द हुक ऑफ द वुडन ब्लॉक वी आर गोइंग टू अटैच अ स्प्रिंग बैलेंस. नाउ पहले हम मूव करेंगे, नहीं होगा देन वी विल सिमिलरली ऐसे ही इंक्रीज करते रहेंगे पुल, सो दैट इट विल स्टार्ट स्लाइडिंग. वी हैव टू रिकॉर्ड दैट. नाउ इट विल बी इक्वल, अभी बता दिया मैंने. नाउ रिपीट द एक्टिविटी बाय प्लेसिंग द वुडन ब्लॉक इन सच अ वे ऑन द टेबल टॉप दैट स्मॉलेस्ट फेस. अब हम देखेंगे उसको इन कंटैक्ट करेंगे विद द टॉप, टेबल टॉप के साथ, उसमें कर लेंगे. फिर देन वी विल नोटिस आफ्टर दिस दैट द लिमिटिंग फोर्स रिक्वायर्ड वो सेम रहेगी, दैट विल नॉट इंक्रीज वेदर द दिस लार्जेस्ट फेस और द स्मॉलेस्ट फेस इज इन कंटैक्ट विद दैट top, table top, the limiting friction that will not change, the value of not change. So this will show us, this will prove that the limiting friction that is independent of the area of cross section in contact with that body. So I hope students that's all for today.